this one comes from Ronnie. What are the opposing arguments to the current New Testament academic scholar view, Allison, Ehrman, etc., that Jesus was an apocalyptic prophet who was ultimately wrong on his prophecy on a coming kingdom within his disciples' lifetimes?
Well, I guess the question is whether Jesus meant that the apocalyptic kingdom would arrive in their lifetime. It's interesting. I think this is a little bit hard one to answer because this whole notion is a bit tricky. The early church fathers expected that they would see the Antichrist. It seems that was an expectation a number of them had. And then when it was clear that that wasn't going to happen like post-haste, that's when curiously, when there was more concern about officially formulating the canon, because now you have a delay that they didn't expect, and you also have false teachings that are rising from other people who are claiming to be somebody, like Thomas, the Gospel of Thomas. So this is why they had to kind of agree, okay, which are the ones that we understand to be authoritative here? So there did seem to be an expectation that things were going to take place. The full resolution were going to be taking place shortly. But of course, the disciples have gotten things wrong in the past, okay? And Jesus made it clear that there is a immaterial element of the kingdom that would be first and foremost. He tells Pilate, my kingdom is not of this world, okay? And if it was, then my angels would be coming right now to rescue me, all right? There is a spiritual dimension of the kingdom that is being advanced, not the physical kingdom. And the disciples, even in Acts chapter 1, is it now that you will restore, I think the language is kingdom language there, the kingdom or something like that to Jerusalem. I'll get it quickly here. Oh, Amy's fast. I'm turning pages. She's punching key things, but she's going to be faster than me. Okay. Oh, I got it. The day when he was taken up, the apostles made many convincing proofs. They gathering together, he said, Father, watch, John baptized, come together, Lord. Is this the time you are restoring the kingdom to Israel? And he said to them, it is not for you to know times or epochs which the Father has fixed by his own authority, but you will receive power to be my witnesses, Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and even to the remotest part of the earth. Now, this seems to me a fairly clear indication that the second coming will not be, and the initiation of this kingdom to Israel, the way they understand it. By the way, they understood this even after 3.5 years with Jesus. They understood that national Israel was still part of the kingdom promise. And Jesus doesn't take exception with that. He simply makes a point about the timing. And first, you got a job to do. It's Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria, and the uttermost parts of the earth. Well, that's a big job. And so that citation there makes it clear to me that Jesus did not mean to communicate that he was going to be coming like next week, next month, whatever.
Isn't there a verse about the gospel going out to the whole world or being preached to the whole world in Revelation? Or I can't remember. Or what am I thinking of here?
Well, Matthew 24, and then the end shall come.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think that's also, it's the Olivet Discourse. It's in Luke 21, Mark 13, and Matthew 24. So that combination there you see. But I think Matthew 24 identifies that particular point. So I would just disagree with Bart Ehrman and others that Jesus intended to return, thought he was going to return in their lifetime, because you have these other statements. Yes, there are some statements that suggest that, but then there's the other statements too. So I think this is mysterious. You can't say with a certainty that this is what Jesus had in mind. But the disciples subsequent disciples seemed to understand, well, this is probably going to happen pretty quickly. and then they realized, well, it's not happening pretty quickly. Well, also they had
Like
to
the
get pushed.
Thessalonians,
Yeah, there you go.
when Paul had to say, some of you aren't doing anything because you think Jesus is coming back
Yeah,
right away.
right. Yeah, that's Second Thessalonians, right? And apostasy comes first, then the man of lawlessness will be revealed, etc. So, excuse me. Anyway, I understand why this issue would come up because there's ambiguity and equivocation in passages, but it isn't like that view that Jesus really believed he was going to come back shortly was in fact Jesus' teaching, and Acts chapter 1 is an example of a statement of Jesus that seems to indicate a much longer period of time. The uttermost parts of the earth.
Yeah. And I think that the verse that plays into this for people is the one where he says, this generation will not pass away. So the question of how to interpret that, I think there's some question to it. In fact, I'm just going to throw an idea out there that I've been playing with that struck me the last time I read it. The word generation is sometimes used for people or people who are like each other. And that whole passage is in a section about people who are persecuting. And so I've been wondering, and I just throwing this out there as a speculation, but I've been wondering if he's talking about the people who will persecute you will not pass away until all this is over. Like, don't expect that this is going to end.
Interesting, yeah.
Because he's talking about all the ways they will be persecuted. And then he says, and this generation will not pass away. So I'm kind of playing with that idea right now and reading it in light of that.
I hadn't heard of that. Some people will take the same point and apply it to Israel. This group of people, Israel, will not pass away until all these things. So that is a comment that is pointing out to the durability of the nation of Israel, which, of course, we've seen amazingly over 2,000 years. Yet I've never heard this option, and I think this may be an option as well. I just haven't
To be
heard
fair, I haven't heard it either. It's just something that was an idea. I'm kind
New
of reading
doctrine.
it to see if it works out. But
You heard it here first, folks. That is Amy Hall.
But it is true that word is used for a people group rather than just like a 40-year span.
Yes, that's right.
So that is a possibility for that. And the thing is, it's not. We don't judge all of Christianity by this one thing. When you come across something that you're not quite sure about, you don't drop everything that you are sure about because this one thing you can't make sense of.
Right.
You look at the whole web of everything we believe, the resurrection, the evidence for the resurrection, all these other aspects of Christianity, and you come to this one and you say, well, it's not a slam dunk that he thought this. There are different ways to look at this. So until I know which way to look at it, I'll withhold judgment about how to interpret it. But I have no reason to think that this is the one thing that proves Christianity wrong.